Your
If it
sound
starts
sounds
showing
good.
it.
There, Nate, your sound sounds a lot better.
It does.
Yeah, I ended up using my phone now. My S7, at least what it is, instead of my old webcam, because that webcam was just crap. And the quality was even worse too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so I went this route instead. Figured it might be better. And it's because I didn't know how to use it on my phone. And Rube showed me how to do it. You just literally, I run the Google Hangouts from my computer, but then I pretty much dial into myself, with
okay.
my phone. So, uh, so everybody's online. Hey, Venom. Hey, Rincon, Marvell. Um, Mike, thank you guys for coming in. It's weekly, it's the Syndi-Comics Weekly with BJ, Kyle, and me. Um,
Hello.
Someday we'll have Cincy or George show up, but I think that's going to be a Christmas best wish.
That was a good April Fool's.
It was. So yeah, bear with me, guys. My throat's still getting better, but um, it's definitely going to be a fun one tonight.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Hey.
all right, make that there.
Yeah, I just got over a sinus infection myself, so
I think that's going around everybody.
Everybody's getting sick.
Yeah, whatever this is, man, this flu thing's been going around. They already said that the flu shot only really took care of like 20% of the flu out there in the U.S.
They said it wasn't very effective at all this year.
oh awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Um, so there were some big announcements over the last couple of days. One was today, of course, we found out that Joss Whedon is no longer doing Batgirl.
Yep.
And we all know why. He's probably going to go back over and do something with Marvel, knowing him.
Or maybe bring back Firefly.
Dude, that's what we all want to happen, man. We all want to see at least a movie or a series come back, to finish it. But I ain't holding my breath, man.
No.
I know.
It'd be
But there is
nice.
a comic series of that coming out again too, from what I read.
I mean, I would like to see at least go on Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi brought it out like they did some of these other ones because they've got that new Krypton series that's coming out too.
Yep.
Kind of that predecessor to Superman. So I kind of want to watch it to see how it is. The only thing I don't know is does it tie into the movie universe or does it tie into the TV universe at all? It's with WB or not.
Mm-hmm. Ramon, it's good to see you, buddy.
Ramon, how you doing, man? You've been going through a lot, brother. I'm glad to see you out and about and doing better.
Yes, sir.
Well, we do know we're getting a Birds of Prey movie down the road, so they can always incorporate into that. The hard part, I think, is going to be who's going to be Batgirl. Who's going to be Batgirl, Black Canary, and are they going to actually use Catwoman in it, or are we going to get somebody else?
Right. I think Alicia Silverstone should just reprise the role.
I hope you're drinking something else other than water, man.
It's just water.
Raymond, I'm glad you got discharged today, man. I hope you're resting and relaxing at home, brother.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you get bored, man, come on down to Charleston. We get that Comic-Con going on this weekend. A few of us from the local group will be there.
Dang it.
yeah, I saw you
got
post about
Costco.
that.
Mm-hmm. What was that, Kyle?
I said, dang it, you already have cons going on. I cannot wait.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to C2E2, man.
I am.
Yeah.
still got to wait, 43 days, I think it is.
And you already were posting pictures of those things you got, like Seven to Eternity, sketches and stuff. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I was able to get that from Gavin Smith. I've been talking to him for like a year about that because we were talking one day. He's done a bunch of pieces for me, and we were talking about how we both absolutely love Seven to Eternity. And I was like, well, what if I commissioned you to do your own cover for it? And he thought it was an awesome idea. And then we were talking. I mean, it was insane. We were talking Tuesday morning. He messaged me and said, "Hey, do you still want to do that for C22?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I kind of told him the ballpark of what I was thinking of price point, and he was like, "All right." And I was like, "Well, I want at least Piper, Adam, and the Mud King on there." And he was like, "Okay." And so and then like the next morning, he's like, "Man, I stayed up all night," and he sent me the pencils, and I was like, "Holy crap!" And I'll post it up on the Syndi-Comics page. And then he sent me he did that in less than 48 hours. He created that whole thing. And then I was also able to get on Mark Lamming's commission list. I'm gonna have him do, since he's worked on Spider-Man and Daredevil, I'm having him do a Spider-Man and Daredevil versus Mysterio.
Cool.
So definitely post pictures once I get that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Tim, I'm doing good. Kyle, he says cute dogs.
I know they're being good right now. Like I said, if they start wrestling or barking, I'm gonna have to cut this one short. But right now they're being good.
Raymond asks, "What do we think about X-Men Red?" I love the book, but it's a little slow. I'll say that. I read the first issue. It was a little slow in how it was. And the ending was pretty good, though.
Yeah. Agreed on that there, Nate.
How many issues are they up to in that so far?
Just one so far.
Okay. I didn't know if two had come out yet or not.
I think they're doing a monthly one on that one, aren't they, BJ?
I'm not too sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Okay.
So Sith AF asked, was offered a very fine near mint issues of Amazing Spider-Man 360 through 363 for $80. Is that a fair deal?
What were the numbers on that again?
360 through 363.
Okay.
If I remember right, I think that's Carnage.
Yeah.
The Maximum Carnage?
I think that's the Cosmic, with Silver Surfer and all that Cosmic Carnage.
Okay.
I think that's the first appearance of Carnage, and that at the end it has a battle with Venom in it.
Here, let me check something real fast.
I've got them in one of these little boxes over here, but I can't get to it. My record player's in the way.
Same here. I don't remember. I don't remember what I got those for. I don't think it was that much, but that's also.
I got them when they came out first.
Right.
That's when I first started collecting officially. They're like, "Oh, start with Amazing Spider-Man." There's Ty McFarlane. He's bringing it back, and then I got into one issue, and he went to regular Spider-Man. So I kept on going.
Right.
Bagley was doing it.
Yep.
For a minute. Then Larson.
Let's see here. Just checking out my price guide I use.
I've seen 361 itself at conventions. Prices usually go for $50 to $80.
Man, is that really worth that much now? Jeez.
I mean,
well,
it becomes cinematic, yeah.
Yeah.
So tallying it up, it's worth about $95 for all 4 issues combined. Of course, 361 being the big one. That's his first appearance of Carnage, cameos in 360. So yes, that is a good deal. And if you can get them to go for 65 or 70, even better. Yeah, Raymond, actually, that's one of the big topics I wanted to bring up tonight was the new Marvel relaunch again for the 80th time in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, it's like we just got done with Legacy, and the renumbering of books and everything. And now we've got a new Avengers and a new Venom book coming out.
Yep.
Um, and then they said it's called a fresh start, you
Yep.
know, with all new artists and everybody. And the only thing they really did, as I could tell, was change writers and artists and flip them around to do different books.
Yep.
So that's not a fresh start in my book. That is we're getting out bored with our ideas. We're running out of ideas, so let's just swap up everybody. You
Mm-hmm.
know. Now I will say I am excited to see what Donny Cates does with Venom, though. To tell you the
Oh,
truth.
And then you have Ryan's segment on that art. That'd be
Yep.
absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because Donnie's been killing it with Baby Teeth and Doctor Strange and Thanos lately. I finally got those back issues of Thanos coming, so I could read that whole Ghost Rider, Frank Castle, whatever it is thing going on. But yeah, that is a huge thing. Um, so, so I'm excited to read the Venom. Avengers, not so much. Um, because I did pick up one of the issues of Avengers No Surrender, and I was completely bored with it. So I stopped after the first issue. And it was a lenticular cover, so I'm always a sucker for those variant covers, anyways. Um, but I heard that there was going to be some major announcements after the series. So this is probably the big one that they were going to do, is hey, we're going to redo it again.
right.
Um, which is kind of crappy. Really, in my book, it is to all the readers out there that's in Marvel right now, because if they're doing these two, what else is coming down the pipe?
Well, they've already said that they're going to renumber Amazing Spider-Man because when Dan Slott's off that, when he goes to Iron Man, they're renumbering that one back to number one. I think it's good. I think this is going to be line wide again. This is my biggest problem with Marvel is they react to everything. Like I was like basically they're kind of one step behind DC in my opinion with all this stuff because they do Legacy, which in my opinion was their answer to Rebirth because Rebirth obviously went back to all the original numbering for Batman and all DC's titles, and then you have Marvel following suit, and then it doesn't sell as well as I think they're expecting it to, and within has it even been 3 months yet since when they started Legacy?
Two
And
months ago.
right, and
Wow.
then like I mean, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. You have your readerships that are trying to buy Amazing Spider-Man, and then it jumps from what was the end of that worldwide arc from like was that like or issue like in the 20s, and it jumps up to 700 and something, and then now it's going to jump back to number one. I mean, it just there's no consistency with them, and that's what's frustrating. And I'm with you. It doesn't really seem like they're like it's new ideas or new blood into the writing pool. Like don't be wrong, I love Dan Slott. He is I think his Spider-Man run is amazing, but he was writing Spider-Man as Iron Man or yeah, basically Peter Parker as Tony Stark for the last half of his Spider-Man Amazing Spider-Man run, and now they're just putting him on Iron Man, it doesn't seem like it's new ideas. It's just like you were saying, just kind of flip flopping creators. And I'm interested to see how it turns out, but I don't have I guess high hopes for it because I think it's going to be kind of like the Marvel Now stuff where we're going to get 8 issues into a run, and then they're gonna not like how it's going, change creators, right back to number one. And it's just I don't think it's going to build anything like what DC is currently building.
I agree 100%. I mean, the things DC's been doing lately, especially with Batman,
Mm-hmm.
and Detective Comics, those they've had some solid writing on those books lately, and Marvel should be paying attention to that and staying with writers and actually let the writers write the stories they want to and let the artists actually draw the way they want to. It seems like there's a lot of hand holding right now in Marvel. It's like you can tell in some of the writing of the stories that they're not given free reign anymore either because it's part of a bigger crossover or a bigger thing. It's like just let them be their own stories. If it connects, great. If not, who cares? you know.
Yeah.
Venom asked, "What do I use to price comics with?" I use comicspriceguide.com.
Same here.
Um, it's run by my buddy Rick Feroge. Me and Rick's known each other for probably 15 years. So yeah, I'll definitely support him, and I helped him with the revamp of the site, so it should look a lot better for everybody. It actually works a lot faster too now.
Will you
Uh,
will you post that on the Facebook page?
you broke up there. I didn't hear you, BJ.
Will you put that on the Facebook page, the website?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that one. Stay away from comicbookrealm.com. And the reason why I say that is because the only reason they have any kind of values is that they're using the eBay sold prices values, not actually what the value of the comic it really is. I mean, that's a good assessment, if you want to see where it's sold for recently, but that doesn't help you out with slabs and what the value of a CGC or a CBCS slab should really be. You know, they actually have the GPA catalog for that. So, um, but yeah, I'll put a link out there on our big page for it.
Cool. Um, Another thought on the Marvel relaunch is maybe that they're trying to focus a little more too much in the cinematic part, and they're kind of not putting as much as they need to into the comic books itself. Maybe that's why DC is probably you know going strong already in this year and the latter part of last year as well. That could be that's one of my thoughts there.
Well, and at least they recognize the issue with Wolverine being introduced back into the universe because that was one big thing they did. Now they're doing the hunt for Wolverine to kind of explain what happened, you
Hmm.
know. And so at least they did that for the fans, because we all asked the same question: How did he get out of the adamantium shell? We all have our own theory: is that just over time he healed, and then he cut himself out. But he's not supposed to be able to cut through adamantium itself either. So how did he get out of it? So it makes me think that somebody helped him out, like the
Okay.
Beyonder or the Collector or somebody else, because how did he get the stone? That's the
Hmm.
other question. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I read Infinity Countdown Prime. That was a really good read, and I'm kind of glad it's a small series on it. There's not 1,000 tie-ins to it, but I don't know. It had that feeling like, okay, we just had Secret War, we just had our Secret Empire and stuff like that. It's like let's put a bunch of characters in it and then see where it shakes out. Um, but we'll have to see. And Adam Warlock's back, and he's one of my favorite characters from the '90s, So we'll see how he turns this time. And Kang was in it. And I love Kang. I mean, who doesn't like watching Kang, in a book? He's always causing some kind of trouble. Well, we were kind of talking about Donny Cates, and Donny Cates is our spotlight for this week. Um, so I did some research on him, and I know you guys did too. He doesn't have that much actually in writing right now. He hasn't had that long of a career. It's funny that Charles Soule has got about the same amount of time, but did a lot more than Donny has.
Hmm.
Um, but it is interesting because I actually have his first book he did. Um, and so, the first comic he actually did write was Dark Horse Presents 24. He started out in Dark Horse a long time ago in 2013, but he is predominantly still independent, as far as what he does. He has some Marvel stuff now that he's doing, but that wasn't always so.
No, it was pretty much his rise at Image. I think it really got him that gig at Marvel.
Yeah, if it wasn't for God and Country, he wouldn't be anywhere.
Yep.
And then after God and Country, of course, he did Redneck and now Baby Teeth. Those catapulted his career. Um, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot. I do say I do like is that he does work in magazine work as well. He
Mm-hmm.
works
Oh,
with heavy metal, you
okay.
know. And I was just like, oh, I remember reading heavy metal in the comics that used to be in those magazines way, way long time ago. I mean, we've all seen the movie, you know. We all remember Heavy Metal and Heavy Metal 2000.
Yep.
Um, but it's one of those things. Like it's kind of cool because you don't see many writers and artists go to those magazines anymore. It's like we used to have, you know, Marvel used to have their own series of magazines. Now we don't even have that anymore. You
Right.
know, Marvel Age and things like that. Marvel Premiere. DC hasn't done one in 2 or 3 decades.
Is Wizard
Um,
still around?
Wizards actually coming back. I heard.
Okay.
Um, you know, they're supposed to have a Wizard World coming up soon. I saw last time. Venom asks, is that a movie? Heavy Metal was a movie, but it was actually inspired by the magazine Heavy Metal, which has been around since the 60s and 70s.
Hmm.
Oh
And
yeah.
it had some awesome music. I still have the soundtrack on vinyl from Heavy Metal. I remember playing that back all the time. Then I had to go buy a new copy of it because I ended up getting a huge scratch on one of the sides. I'm like, let me go drop $10 and go buy it again.
Awesome.
So, what do you guys like about Donnie?
BJ, if you want to go ahead.
um, so far as the God Country I've read, well, not the Damnation I just bought. Um, says he did that part too. Um, I'm not. I haven't got to the redneck trade I've got right now. Uh, Kill or Be Killed and Dead Class have been keep me occupied this past week. Um, but I love God Country. It was absolutely fantastic. Damnation was pretty good so far. So I would like to see
No
some more.
spoilers. I haven't read that one yet.
Oh, I won't. But I mean, with the style of God Country, I wouldn't be surprised if he would like maybe help like write scripts for movies upcoming. You know, like how Millar's been doing with Matt Bond and stuff. Wouldn't be a shocker for me.
I mean, I'd love to see a sequel to God and Country, you know, but I mean, they kind of ended it on a way to end it, you know, they end the series, you know, it's just like, it's just one of those books. Like, it was only like 6 or 7 issues, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh crap, you know, it's over.
Yep.
I had that reborn feeling all over again, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny because like I mean, he had a Marvel comic way back in 2015. It was a Iron Man. It was like an exclusive book that was not for resale. Um, and I didn't even know he had that book because I remember reading his first Marvel book, which was just last year when he was doing Secret Empire with Captain America. You know, Steve
Mhm.
Rogers and Sam Wilson. And that's when I first read it. I'm like, okay, this guy's going to do good. And that's why I picked up Redneck #1. You know, and I just kept reading through. I'm like, and then I went back and read God and Country. I'm like, he's going to go a long way in the community. You know, but I'm kind of wondering if he's going to get stuck somewhere, though. I mean, he's doing Image and he's doing Marvel today, but I wonder who's going to try to steal him permanently away.
Mhm.
So yeah, he had that, and then it was kind of weird. He had a series called Paybacks through Dark Horse, um, and then he brought it over to Heavy Metal and did it again. I've never heard of a comic series doing that. Have you guys?
No. He
Mm-mm.
kind of had some. He had a couple kind of weird things like that that didn't sell very well for Dark Horse, and then because the Ghost Fleet was the same way, which is hilarious if you think about it, because it's him and Daniel Warren Johnson, two of the biggest names in comics right now. But it sold horribly, and then they both didn't finish it. So when Dark Horse actually dropped it, they ended up doing a web comic for the last 4 issues. And now
Okay.
since then, Image has put out the Ghost Fleet, the whole goddamn thing, trade paperback, which is fantastic. But yeah, it was funny to kind of look and see. It looked like he did a couple of those type of things where it didn't sell well, either at Dark Horse or and then he just took it somewhere else to finish it because he something he wanted to do. And it wasn't until God Country that, he really, that was the first thing that got the critical acclaim, and then really kind of, he was able to finish his whole run.
Yeah, I want to read that one because it looked like an interesting series from the covers I saw on it for the Ghost Fleet. Um,
It's out there. I really liked it. It's got a lot of supernatural horror elements to it, but it's what was the semi truck action movie? Was it Black Dog?
you talking
Black
about Maximum
Pig?
Overdrive?
I don't
Uh,
know.
but
Possibly. I just remember like an '80s like semi truck movie. I want
Yeah,
to say
Stephen
Kurt
King's
Russell.
Maximum Overdrive was a semi truck movie.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking about. Well, no. Well, yeah, but this is like all, but the whole thing reads exactly like an '80s action movie. It's got the one-liners, it's got the big guys, the muscles and guns. Um, it's an extremely, and Daniel Warren Johnson's art is phenomenal in it. But it's got like a whole supernatural element of this trucking company is like transporting like ancient demonic artifacts. So it's a weird mix of action, like '80s action, and like a kind of supernatural thriller. But yeah, definitely check it out. It gets extremely weird in the last couple pages, but it's Donna Cates, so.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the kind of thing. Is like it seems like every book I read from him is a ride. When you're reading his stuff. Um, I haven't read his Doctor Strange stuff. I guess he had just did the last run with the Loki um, series before he does Damnation. So I'm probably gonna go back and pick that up to read
cool.
that.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing like that probably impresses me the most with him is everything I've read is the pacing. Everything is laid out in a very intriguing way to where almost all his books that I read, I can't wait to turn that next page. There's always like a little carrot being dangled in front of you that you want to see what happens next, which I feel like it is kind of hard to do in comics sometimes. I feel like a lot of times like writers just kind of give you too much information from the get go, whereas I feel like he has a really strong knack for being able to kind of keep a mystery about something, but keeping it still very interesting. And then like the way he does action sequences and the way that he's able to put like energy and emotion, especially with God Country, it's like the way that for me personally, the reason that was my book of the year is because of the relationships that I felt with those characters. Is looking at a son that's trying to care for his father with Alzheimer's. From the very first page, I felt that, but I also felt the tension of his wife being very frustrated with the son for being like, we need to stay and help my dad, even though he's being an absolute jerk to everybody. So like, I guess it was like kind of like those family dynamics. It was a really cool, like supernatural story, but it was more like those personal relationships between the characters. I think same thing with Redneck for me was seeing how this family interacts, see how each one of them has a different idea of how these vampires should live in this town. And then, then you have the mystery of like, who the pastor is and his family, and they've been at war for generations. And it was just like I think it's those character dynamics. He writes characters so well. I think it's my biggest draw for him.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you think if Donny Cates wrote Wolverine instead?
See, I haven't read a whole lot of his Marvel stuff, so I don't honestly know how he is doing with those. I've read like a lot of reviews and stuff online for him, but I personally have not read them. I think it would be, I think it'd be interesting. I think if he could get like a relationship kind of dynamic of, I don't know, maybe him Sabretooth or him in X-23. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't like everything that I've read from him has been very much team oriented, and kind of how characters interact with one another. So I don't know if it was just a solo Wolverine book. I don't know how well maybe he'd be able to translate that.
And the reason I asked that is because he's about to do his own solo Venom book.
Right.
You know, And Donnie is not one of those guys who can write a Deadpool book, for example. He needs some serious tone and some what's really going on in the world, not, okay, let me talk about the fourth wall and break through it. Deadpool's always good for a good laugh, in his books. There's some serious tones to it at times, but it's still the same. It's always a funny book. Um, and reading God and Country, there really wasn't any funny jokes in that book. It was pretty much just balls to the wall. You just read it, and you kept reading it because you wanted to see what was the part of the storyline. Um, that's why I kind of want to go pick up Doctor Strange and see how he does it, because if he writes the same way in Marvel the way he does in Image, I'm kind of shocked Marvel has him, because Image pretty much lets their writers and artists do whatever they want to do. You know, Marvel usually has a tight leash on what you can and can't do and can and can't say. So I'm definitely interested for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, at least the stuff I've been reading, I know he's been kind of ruffling some feathers of a lot of readers. So I would assume that he is writing his way and kind of has a proverbial middle finger up to anybody that doesn't like it.
I Well, he must have made the right friends. 'Cause, I mean, he's pretty much writing the whole damn nation crossover.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting.
But I mean, I think that's the most interesting thing about him is you look at his rise, because there's just a lot of stuff that really didn't take off, and then God Country just, because like you were saying, like it was such a quick. As soon as God Country hit, it had press all over the place, flipping out about it. I was flipping out about it, and then you have Redneck come out, exact same thing, and then all of a sudden, he's a superstar where he's, Lexington Toy and Comic Show in March. He is the main comic guest.
Cool.
Greg Capullo is also going to be there, and they have Donny Cates as the headlining comic guest. I don't think there's really any writing wise. Maybe Tom King with like Vision, Batman, and Sheriff of Babylon. I don't know if there's anybody honestly bigger than Donny Cates right now, at least as far as like a kind of a rock star kind of mentality about it. Maybe Scott Snyder, but even then, I don't know if he's as big as Donny Cates right now.
No, but I think when Snyder was writing Batman with Capullo, during New 52, that was at the height of them at that time.
Right.
Because Rebirth wasn't around yet, but you had like the Court of Owls stories. You had the Damien backstory. We killed Damien off. Snyder did some great work there, but you don't see writing like his or Jeff Johns right now compared to Donny Cates and Charles Soule. You
Right.
know, you're right. King's done good on Batman, but I still prefer Snyder over King's writing.
If you
Any
if
day.
you watch my review, I definitely do as well.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with King's writing. It just doesn't personally connect with me.
Okay, we got a couple of comments in. Johnson Rivedad's come in. Thank you for joining us, brother. Um, Venom Fang says, I would love to see an Image Comics out with another character movie. Yeah, Netflix maybe. I don't think they're ever going to have a major one. And, McFarlane is trying to get his Spawn off the ground again. But I don't see. What's kind of sad though is that Image has all these great books they can make movies off of. You know, Saga, Reborn,
I was
God and
about to say,
Country, Redneck. Those big storylines that you could do a great movie with. But they got to be able to sell it to somebody who wants to actually fund it. You
yeah.
know,
But
I mean,
I almost think, Saga is probably the only thing I could see having the backing to do a movie right now, outside of The Walking Dead. But I think, much like Walking Dead, Saga is so complex and so big. I don't think a 2 hour movie would do the series justice. And I think that's where
you know,
comics kind of fall like independent Image comics fall a lot, is they are, because they are creator owned. There's so much going on in them. The stories are so complex. I feel that they they fit a lot better on TV, Netflix, sci-fi. Like you just had Grant Morrison's Happy. come
Yeah.
out on Sci-Fi. You have Rick Remender's Deadly Class is coming out in Sci-Fi. You obviously have Preacher just came out on what AMC, A&E, one of those two.
AMC.
Um, I feel like Image books just, especially like the ones that are going to have enough backing to do another medium like television. There's a lot more to them than what they can put in a 2-hour movie. Like I don't think Saga would work at all as a 2-hour long movie. I mean, you might get through the first arc, maybe, and then what you have? Well, they have 8 arcs now.
8, yeah.
So and how many characters and how many different plot developments and everything that go on in Saga. I just don't see Image books working very well outside of superhero like Spawn. But even that sounds like we're getting a horror movie, not an actual Spawn movie.
Yeah, well, and it's focused more on the human aspects of Sam and Twitch than Spawn.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
sorry. I mean, if you're gonna make a Spawn movie, make a Spawn movie. You know, have Violator, have Malbosia in it. We won't get Angela in it because Angela is owned by Marvel.
Right.
But you could, they could always do the Dark Ages. Like I would love to see the Dark Ages Spawn in a movie or in a series. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these ones. I think definitely Netflix or HBO or something like that. American Gods is a good example where they actually did translate it pretty decent to a TV series. Um, but it still suffered from the same issues, though, of not being able to be completely true to that because it would lose the viewers.
Right. I'd say Happy is probably the closest thing I've seen so far. Because Preacher, we all know, wasn't exactly anything like the comic.
Yeah, I was going to say that first season was kind of hard to get through.
It was. I just kept telling myself, I'm like, it's their own take on it. That's all it is.
I gotta say, I finished up season 2. I think about 2 weeks ago after watching through it all. It was pretty close to the book.
Yep.
I mean, they didn't really deviate a whole lot from it, and I'm kind of glad they didn't because there would have been a lot of ticked off fans that we watched all of season 1.
Yep.
We get to season 2, it's like, all right. And then of course they found God in the Crapper, which was almost instantly the same thing as the book was, and I was like, okay, they're doing good now. Let's see how season 3 goes,
Yeah,
It won't be like Walking Dead.
The killer or the Saint of Killers is one of my all-time favorite comic characters, and I finally felt that they finally did him justice. I thought in season 2, I thought his portrayal was, pretty much spot on.
Well, and I liked how they depicted him and actually used his correct backstory.
Right.
Because they said, okay, yes, he did a lot of bad crap, in his lifetime, and then he had the opportunity to try to fix it, and it went to nothing. And then they said, okay, you're done. You're going to hell, and you're just going to stay in hell forever until we need you, and then we'll let you out. Now you're going back. It's like, good grief, people. I mean, just think about that. But I did think the little tweak they did there, where they gave the Saint part of Preacher's soul, that little tweak, I think actually made the season even better because it showed that there's a human side to the Saint of Killers.
Yeah, but is there though?
I mean, just look at him.
BJ hasn't read any of this. He's just now getting the Preacher. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah,
I almost about said something about the Saint that I was like, I'm really glad I didn't say. But
don't say that. Don't say it. That'll probably be like season 4 or 5.
Yeah. No, I think it's the volumes you have, I have as well. I want to say it's book 4. It's whichever one has the Saint's face on the front. Okay. It has like his whole origin story.
Nice.
One of my favorite moments in comics ever. So if anybody out there hasn't read Preacher, read Preacher.
Read Preacher. It's just like Sandman. If you get a chance, go read Sandman. Neil Gaiman's Sandman was one of my favorite series. That and then the Death 3-issue arc that went with it.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm still trying to. I haven't decided if I'm going to yet or not. But I don't know if you guys have seen it. They have an omnibus, 2 volumes of Sandman, but they're
Mhm.
awesome because they're leather bound. Like they basically look like a Bible. So they have like real ornate stuff, like leather bound. Like they're absolutely gorgeous. But I think Amazon has them for 130 each. Last time I
That's not
looked,
bad for an
it's really
omnibus, though.
right. When you think about it, it's really not that bad. I keep going back and forth. They look absolutely gorgeous.
Because I've got the Absolute Sandman right now, which was the first like 20 issues of it, and then of course they had the Vertigo preview, where his first appearance was in it, and I've read that thing 100 times. And I love it, because that was his first saga, But it's like to go and try to find his individual trade paperbacks for the rest of it. I was like, no, I want the hardcovers, So I might go that omnibus route. Because
It's
there's one thing bad about the absolutes is just they're just too big too, you
right.
know.
I was looking at the absolute preachers, and yeah, they're just. I don't have any place to really store them.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Sandman was good. I mean, and I love the story, especially how they brought him into what was it, metals. Sandman is in metals now. You know, so I love that how they were like, holy crap, they brought Dream back because we
Yep.
never thought he'd come back. After his death. I'm like, are they trying to pull like a Doomsday Clock kind of thing where they're going to bring a lot of these Vertigo characters back? It's like, all right, we got the Watchmen, we've got Sandman. All right, where's Preacher at? And before we know it, we're gonna have all these other like Kick Ass and everybody else.
Yep.
So
But that's the
Scout's a
funny thing
good
about
book.
yeah, that is the funny thing about Salmon. Like, I always forget that he is part of the DC universe. Uh, just like because I mean, what was it? I think in the first arc, there's actually an issue where he is talking like Batman and Green Lantern and Flash and everybody. And it was
Yep.
sometimes you forget because it originally Sandman started the Neil Gaiman's run started on DC, and then once people started complaining about that and Preacher, that's when they actually formed Vertigo.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing people forget that DC owns Vertigo and Wildstorm.
Mhm.
So Wildcats, anything like that was done Wildstorm is owned by DC.
What was the what's that new one they just did? The My Chemical Romance, something way animal. They just
Gerard
started
Way?
another new imprint because it has the new Doom Patrol and Mother Panic. I can't.
Um, I know what you're talking about. There was talks about putting the Terrifics and Damage Incorporated into that too.
Yeah, but I can't think of the name of the imprint now. It's something animal. I want. It's not wild animal. I don't know. I haven't read any of the books, but yeah, they own that. DC also owns that one as well.
Here, let me take a look.
His name's Gerard Way, maybe Gerald Way,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah, it's Gerard Way from what I remember.
that.
When I listened to that one song about 12 years ago.
Yeah. I actually saw them live because I'm a huge Alkaline Trio fan, and Alkaline Trio opened up for them. It
Cool.
actually, honestly, wasn't that bad of a show, other than the thousands of 12-year-old girls storming the mosh pit.
Let's see.
How do I want to say Animal Kingdom? But that's Disney.
Young Animal.
Young Animal. That's it.
Yep. They have Doom Patrol, Shade, Mother Panic, and Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye. Now
Okay.
that's a title.
Title of the song from My Chemical Romance?
Didn't surprise me.
Yeah, Gerard Way.
Just so funny. Him and Max Bemis, because Max Bemis has done a bunch of Marvel stuff, and he's doing Moon Knight now. But
I
he was
know.
a singer of Say Anything.
Isn't one of the guys from Good Charlotte doing like artists for DC back in the day?
Oh, that very well could be. I honestly don't know.
I think one of the twins or something like that.
What was it? Madden, Benji, and Joel, I think.
You got me on that one.
Actually, so back before they went like super poppy, I always liked Good Charlotte. I met him a couple times actually.
Let's see. We got a question from Mike. He said, "Did Jim Lee sell the rights to DC?" No, actually, he did not. Um, Image Comics is still owned by the same people. They've never sold the rights to him. What they sold to him was Wildstorm, and Wildstorm at the time had absorbed Wildcats, Youngblood, and a couple of those other ones into it. And then Youngblood's now back in Image, so it's like, holy crap! Because I know Chad's writing Youngblood right now.
Hmm.
There's they flip flop all the time. I mean, that is the catch. The writers that own these series can do whatever they want to do, but the sub print of Wildstorm is owned by DC at the moment. And who knows? Image might come back and buy it back out again. You know,
Seems like Image is kind of getting out of the superhero. I mean, with aside from Invincible, it doesn't. They don't really put out a whole lot of superhero comics.
Mm-mm. Savage Dragon still going around?
Savage Dragon is still going, and then
yep.
Invincible is just ended, or the last issue is just about to come out.
Yeah, because the big thing too, people forgot is that Authority, Stormwatch, League of Extraordinary Men, Tom Strong, all those ones that were owned by Wildstorm now owned by DC.
Hmm.
I did not. I know Planetary was because I remember seeing a Planetary book with a DC imprint on it. But it's because Warren Ellis sold a lot of his stuff over. So
Gotcha. Hmm.
you're very welcome, Mike. So I got good news this week. My comic shop's not closing. Thank God.
All right. Because I
At
forgot to
the
mention.
11th hour, like on Monday or Tuesday, they had two new people come in and are going to continue the same store. It's still going to be called Hypno Comics, um, but just with two other people managing it. So it's kind of nice. My shop's still here. Still doesn't help that for 2 weeks I don't have books.
Right.
Um, so I ended up actually going through Unknown Comics, which is another site I'm going to put out on the Syndi-Comics tonight, probably, that I use. I use Unknown Comics, Legacy Comics. Usually they can get good back issues. And they do a lot of pre-orders, too, on individual issues. So you don't have to buy, like, the whole damn run on it.
Cool.
But, yeah. Like, if everything works out, they should be shipping my books out to me next Tuesday. So I should have everything caught up before Hypno starts fully back on next week. So,
It's good to hear.
yeah, there's nothing worse because like we were all kind of really freaking out here because there is one more comic shop in here in our town and it sucks. It sucks monkey balls because it is one of those ones that it's the stereotypical comic shop where you don't have customer service. You have the old dudes sitting behind the counter, and they're all cranky with you when you walk in. And that's not good service, especially for kids and everything else. So I was really excited to see that they're going to be here because I was like, oh crap! All right, now I got to figure out how to do online subscriptions through other people. I'm like, good grief! But yeah.
Cool.
Uh, so what'd you guys get this week?
Get anything, Kyle?
I did. I picked up actually first. Picked up some old since I'm going all trades. I'm trying to fill in some of my favorite storylines and different arcs. So I actually picked up the first volume of my all-time favorite Daredevil run, and that's the Frank Miller and Klaus Janson run. So this is volume 1. So yeah, the first appearance of Elektra, all sorts of good stuff on here. Picked that up, and then second, I picked up. I've been wanting a hardcover version of this for a while, and then I saw DC just release this, and it's one of the coolest collections I've seen. Actually, the Dark Knight Returns is the new hardcover edition. And so what you get here is this really nice kind of slipcase. There with Superman on the front, Batman, Dark Knight, all the info on there. Batman and Robin on the back. And then the cool thing about it is it's actually the 4 individual issues all in their own hardcover edition. So you get like a little kind of wraparound, and then each one just has the main cover, and then just the issue as far as the normal thing inside. So I was actually really excited to get this because I've been wanting a hardcover. I think I own this like in 3 different forms. So I have all the actual single issues, and then I also have 2 trade paperbacks. But I've really been wanting to get in a hardcover, and I thought the DC releasing these kind of single issues all in their own hardcover was really cool. So, a bit pricey, but I mean the presentation is really cool, and it's actually you see it's actually a lot bigger, so it's the oversized deluxe size as well. So it's not the standard comic size.
It's like they did when they did the Master Race last year.
Yep. So that's all I picked up this week.
SoCal asks, "Is this a private party?" It's a private comic party, and you're welcome to join. What about you, BJ? What'd you get?
Well, man, I gotta tell you, I need to start bringing a little notebook whenever you guys start talking about these other books I need to start getting into, so I can put them on my wish list and stuff. Where'd Kyle go? Yeah.
And my dog is still there. We got Kyle's dog still here.
I was gonna recollect on my Blockbuster video working days and talk about some of these semi-truck 80 movies he might have thought it was. I'll wait till he gets back. Start off with Damnation, the variant issue. I didn't get this last week because he ran out, but I got the variant of Infinity Countdown. Yeah. And then Countdown Prime variant.
Oh yeah, the grind off Wolverine cover.
Yeah. Astonishing X-Men number 8. X-Men Gold number 22. Can't believe it's already on issue 22 already. And then I haven't read this one yet. It's the Swamp Thing Winter Special.
Nice. I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Kyle, with I was saying with back in my young days, I used to work at Blockbuster Video. A couple semi-truck movies. Then supernatural-wise, you do have Maximum Override. All the machines started coming to life. You got a semi-truck and Big Trouble in Little China. That's supernatural stuff too. And then there was Black Dog, but I think that was in the 90s with Patrick Swayze and Meatloaf. I did bet. I bought something off of eBay. I got some back issues from Uncanny X-Men, and they're beautiful. They came in wrapped and everything really well. $150. And I mean, they had some of these covers had, good old Kitty Pryde in there, so I had to get them. 151. Yeah. 152. And these things are in like, you said 8.5 on there, and they're just beautiful. 153 there. But I mean, I got them for I think like $16 with shipping included, and
nice.
Yeah, they look really good.
Yeah, I'm a huge X-Men collector. I'm doing the Silver Age ones right now, and plus getting the rest of the Bronze Age to finish up my. I'm trying to do a 1 to 300 run, and that's going to take a long time because I'm looking for anywhere from 7.5 or higher for a lot of things. Well, you got my giant size X-Men already, my slab that's a 6.0, but I'm after actually another one now. I want to find a 7.5. So, but I actually did get some books in the mail, so at least I have something this week. Uh, um, I did get
Oh man.
number one, and that is a 9.2, baby.
Nice.
Um, then picked up. These are ones I like. I have like I think 10 of these already.
Cool.
You know, I'm always looking for like the higher grade version of it. And this one's about a 9.4 to a 9.6. These are all probably ones I'm going to send to get slabbed, probably.
Yeah.
Same way with this one,
Yep.
Oh yeah, got mine.
you know. But they remember a couple weeks ago, I told you guys there was a couple of books I was getting cleaned and pressed and stuff like that. Um, Finally got them back in.
Whew.
And then can't have one without the other.
Nice.
So yeah, those two are getting sent in. And already looking at them, they're at least a 9 to a 9.2. So I mean, it's hard to find those books in really good shape like that. It really is. You know, it's just one of those things. Days of Future Past. I mean, that kind of killed a lot of the comics out there because they were getting way expensive for these. I mean, those are still $50, $60 book each. You know, and I'm not telling how much I paid for all this, by the way. You know, because it would probably piss you off. uh, Actually, I'll
What?
show you.
Do you get them pressed and everything, or just for? Oh, never mind.
I got a buddy who does it. He does press and cleanings. You know, now granted, it was more than $3. You know, for the whole thing. I ain't gonna lie to you. But he does press and cleans for like $5 an issue. So
Well,
I'm sorry, you're not gonna get a deal like that hardly anywhere, especially on old books. You know. So I've been going through him for about a year and a half now. That's where I always send my stuff to. Um, but he doesn't do it like as a business. He's a comic auctioneer. So if you guys have seen it, probably seen my videos. Mike Vizzini, he does those auctions out there for comics, but he also does cleanings and pressings and stuff like that. He's also the guy I got my giant size X-Men slab from. So so definitely, he's been a big hookup out there. And there's some other groups out there too, like comic collectors, you know. And there's some other Facebook groups out there that do all those.
hmm.
And I usually I'll help them out because I do grading and stuff like that with them. But yeah, got those in from them, so at least I had something. Of course, I'm not touching any of those books actually physically because I don't want to put any kind of oil on them, you know. But yeah, at least I got those because I'm still looking for the first appearance of Dazzler in the Uncanny X-Men, which is Uncanny X-Men 130. Um, so yeah, I still have to find a good copy of 130. I think it's like a 6.5 version of it. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to focus on that 7.5 and higher for the whole set. I just got what was it? X-Men number 9 in and looked at it, and it was actually had to get sent back um, because it was supposed to be a 7.0. It was the detached cover,
Ugh.
and it's like no, no. So I was like, no, you take your book back and you give me my money back. I'm sorry on that. But yeah, so they got a couple, and I'm gonna have a huge probably haul next week of comics once they all show up. You know, all depends on timing, though. I mean, it depends on, we all know how the mail system is.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for this week. Oh, and if you guys know, Life with Brock is doing a spotlight with me on Saturday at 7 o'clock. Um, it's going to be a fun, interesting one. Every one of the spotlights with Brock is always a fun time. Uh, but yeah, it's going to be fun. And hell, he already put. I know he's been on my page because he pulled one of my old pictures out with me and a tiger on it to put on the image. I'm like, this is gonna be a fun one with Brock, that's for sure. But it's gonna be a good time. He's always professional. Holy crap!
Holy
What's
Bam!
crap!
up,
Since he's
guys?
here.
What's
What?
going on, man?
Holy hell has frozen over.
I tried to get it to
It
work.
has frozen over.
Now it works. So I'm on here. Can you guys hear me?
Well, well, well. If it isn't the nerd man from Cincinnati.
What's up, fellas? Let me get
What's going on, Cincy?
Where the heck is my tripod? All right, sorry to interrupt everyone, by the way.
I'm just glad the invite worked.
Where did that tripod go? Don't mind. Go ahead and talk. Sorry.
No worries,
Sith,
man.
Sith AF was asking, what's you guys' opinions on movies driving up comic book prices? Depends on the movie. I mean, if it's really good, then it's going to be higher. If it's not that good, then it's going to go back down.
Well, and look at this too. Jungle Action, first appearance of Black Panther, just jumped 58% in one day. And I remember buying that first appearance of Black Panther years ago for like $30. And now it's going over $200, $300 now because of the movie. So yeah, BJ's right. Anytime a movie is successful, it's going to jump the prices in the books. I've got Nick's number 3, first appearance of X-23. That was a $30 book until Logan came out. Logan came out, and go try to buy it now for that price.
Yep. I mean, Deadpool's the same way. I mean, you look at Deadpool, that was maybe New Mutants 98 was that maybe a $20, $30 book before that movie. And then now that movie comes out, and you're looking at $200 easy. And I mean, probably the biggest one would be The Walking Dead #1. Now, granted, that run was only like maybe 2,000-3,000 copies, but still, at first printing, you're looking at a couple grand, all because of that show.
Yep.
And it's funny because I've been reading it since it came out. I've got 3 copies of #1, and one of them's slabbed. But it was one of those books that nobody really thought was going to jump off anywhere. Like Kirkman already said, I expected it to fail. I was in SDCC when he was talking about it, and he said, this will probably last maybe 30 issues, maybe 40 issues, and then it was going to actually die out. But the whole show just kept it going. And now we're getting in a lot of issues because the comic and the show is completely different now. Oh, and spoiler alert, if you don't watch Walking Dead, there's a lot of changes that's about to happen in Walking Dead that's completely asinine to the comic. Because the biggest issue I have out of all of them is that first, Shane, they kept him alive way too long in the show. He dies within the first 3 or 4 issues of the book. And then they didn't kill off Glenn and Abraham till whenever, So it's there's gonna be a lot of bad stuff happen. I mean, they killed Carl off. Come on, in Walking Dead, the show. I mean, one of the main stays of the comic book is Carl, Rick Grimes' son, and they kill him off in the show. Really?
Yeah.
Rebecca, Nick, you have 3 copies of Walking Dead #1?
I do.
You have 3.
I have 3.
Good Lord, man. Do you have a whole run from 1 on till current?
I have 1 through about 81.
Okay.
Still, man.
Isn't #1 going for like several $1,000s still?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they had at the Cincy Expo, they had 1 slab. It was a 9.6, and I think they were asking $8,000 for it.
Oh.
I mean, that's a show price, but still.
Yep, I remember I bought it when it came out because I was huge into zombies at the time too. Living Dead stuff was out, and Walking Dead was out. I'm like, all right, I'll read it. I'll see what it's like. Because I like the artwork Charlie Adler was doing, and I'm like, okay, let me pick up a couple of these.
Yeah, that's a very good book to have right now. I don't know. I think it's the series itself, the television show, is starting to maybe run out of ideas. The same with the comic book. I think he's kind of struggling with ideas right now. I kind of like where they're going with the comic book right now. How are we allowed to talk about like spoilers with the comic book or?
Yes, talk
Yeah.
anything, Cincy.
Sorry, it's my first episode. So where they're going right now with how they wanted to, who was it? Eugene was trying to communicate with, I forgot her name. The girl that's at that. Yeah. And I'm still like 2 issues back, but like they're like a pretty well organized deal up there now. So it's kind of getting interesting again. Like, how are they going to deal with this large presence now? I mean, it's not like some kind of little militia run by the governor or run by Negan. This is like a big deal now. This is like an army. So it's starting to get kind of interesting again, but I don't know. Sooner or later, they're going to have to end the series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I liked how they had the whole thing with Negan, you know, especially like when he was locked up forever, you know, and then they jumped like 2 years, 3 years in the series for Walking Dead, and it was like, okay, now Rick is in charge of everything. You know, Negan's stuck in a jail cell. And then in the recent issue, you know, they let Negan out finally. And Negan went and joined with Alpha and Beta's, you know, group. I ain't going to ruin the spoiler for you, Cincy, but you'll definitely want to pick it up pretty soon because there's going to be some people die.
Yeah. So Kirkman did something that I didn't think he would ever do. He made me start to like Negan because ever since issue 100, I mean, that literally made me sick to my stomach reading that issue. And again, when they rehashed it with the television show, but he's starting to do something now where he's kind of turning him into a likable villain. And I hate myself for liking Negan. And he's always been a great villain, but I'm starting to like kind of sympathize with him now. And I'm like contradicting like how I should feel about that character. But I guess that's the sign of a good writer. We can take something that you just vehemently hate and kind of start to like the guy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they did a really good storyline with him. I mean, they've talked about his backstory and why Negan is the way he is.
Yeah.
You know, and it explains a lot. You know, it really does. It does make you sympathize with the character. You know,
Right.
and so that's why so many people love Negan now in the show as well, because there's a lot of comic readers know his backstory and they know it's all an act. You know, everything he does is an act.
I mean, when you know a character's motivations, you start to kind of see it from their perspective, kind of like Killmonger in the Black Panther movie. You kind of see things from perspective, and you kind of like, well, I mean, is he all that bad? I mean, he kind of has good intentions. So I don't know. It's a good device that writers use to kind of put you in the shoes of that person and just kind of see things from their perspective. But
well, and you think about Killmonger. I mean, you look what T'Chaka did to his dad. You know, now granted, his dad was doing some bad crap. You know, he was selling stuff to King and everything like that. But at the same time, he was just a kid when all that happened. So now he grew up understanding that one way of thinking, not understanding that there's another way he could have went. You know, so it's definitely a twist, and I can understand why he would be ticked off. You know,
right. By the way, I know this is a comics book video, but like, have you guys already talked about the Black Panther movie? What did you guys think about it?
So I loved it, but I'm pretty ticked off they killed Kang off so fast in the movie. You know,
I loved his character. He was awesome in that.
Oh yeah,
Claw.
He was hysterical.
Ulysses Claw. He was, Andy Serkis was just awesome in that.
Yep.
He was a great character. But I don't know. They could always bring him back. I mean, he's died a couple times in the comic books, and I don't know if they'll go that route. I think it was a necessary plot device to kill him off, because that's what Killmonger used as like his key to the city to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really liked Claw in that movie. But, I really liked the Black Panther movie a lot. I thought that it did have a couple pacing issues here and there with like when it got into the dialogue heavy stuff. But I really liked the action scenes, and I liked the interplay with the different characters, especially between like T'Challa and Shuri. Yes. I liked the brother sister. The dialogue, and Shuri was hilarious.
She honestly, I think, maybe made the movie for me. Like
Yeah.
I love the whole movie, but it was like her and Killmonger. Like those were the two I was the most drawn to. I mean, we have seen Black Panther and Civil War, so we kind of knew his story. And I mean, and not to be like, there's nothing wrong with Black Panther, but he's another superhero. Now he's very cool that he has the entire city of Wakanda, like the whole nation of Wakanda, with him. But other than that, I mean, he's a superhero. Kind of, we've seen it all before. But I don't think we've ever seen, at least for my perspective, we haven't seen a villain like Killmonger that you, like you guys were saying, you actually relate to. And the other thing that I loved about him is he was he didn't have this giant plan to take over the world. He wasn't threatening, well, I'm going to kill this person in 2 hours if you don't give me my demands. He just killed somebody. And I thought that was, you understood why he was that angry, and it made sense. But no, Siri, I thought she was brilliant. And I hope, I was watching one of your streams, I think it was one of your videos, Cincy, and you're talking about making her Ironheart. I will pay.
Oh, yeah.
I will pay Marvel whatever amount of money they need if they actually do that, because I think that would be amazing, because it would fit so well.
It would.
I think that could happen, especially with with Tony Stark or Robert Downey, and his contract might be ended up soon. So that's a good future.
Yeah,
I'm a bit biased with the director. I'm a big fan of his prior movies, Creed and Fruitvale Station. So I knew this was going to be a very, very good Marvel movie.
yeah, he's a very good director. Yeah, I think Shuri would make good Ironheart. They, all the backstory on Shuri is like she's the smartest person alive, and the tech that she's created is like, it makes Stark tech look ancient. So it makes sense to kind of make her the next Ironheart. When they first showed the Hulkbuster in the trailer for Infinity War, I actually thought Shuri was piloting it, but I found out who's in it, and it's not her. I won't give spoilers for that. Anyone doesn't want to know that, but yeah, I loved her character, and hopefully we see. I know Okoye is in Infinity War because I've seen her in the trailer, but I'm not sure who in Infinity War. I mean, there's like 70 characters in Infinity War, so it'd be cool if we see more of the Black Panther characters in that movie.
I think they're going to have a big part in it, just because, I mean, if nothing else, but designing Cap's new shield as Nomad. I think Wakanda is going to have a huge part in Infinity War, which I think is going to be awesome. Just like, and I think kind of the after credit scene kind of alluded to that, where they were talking about sharing all their technology and everything. So I think that's going to be a huge part in fighting Thanos.
Yeah.
So what do we think about the Purple People Eater look on Thanos?
I don't like
California Raisin.
Yeah,
he does look.
I'm sorry. We go from the look he had, Thor and Guardians to this.
I said I told my wife I was buying a Thanos hot toy no matter what, before any trailer or anything came out, because I didn't pick up the Guardians of the Galaxy one until that trailer came out, and I was like, nope, I'm just gonna go buy the Guardians one. I was like, I do not like. I'm hoping maybe that was just maybe they're not done with post-production, but something tells me that's how it's going to be from the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure. I don't get how it went from what he looked like in Guardians to what he looks like in Avengers or to Infinity War.
Now there's a huge step back.
There was a toy reveal of like not the Marvel Legends, but like the cheaper line of toys for kids. And it showed that there is a Thanos that's all armored up. So I'm not sure if that's just for toy's sake, or if he does at some point in the movie get all armored up for like a big boss fight or something. I don't know.
I can say he probably gets the armored up version right before he gets the gauntlet on.
Yeah. Or
because
the gauntlet with all the stones, he gets all armored up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cute. You pick any comics up there, Cincy?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the comics I picked up today. I have a giant stack, but did any of you guys pick up this Doctor Strange book? Damnation?
Not yet. So last week I was telling the guys my local comic shop was about to close. So I was about to get screwed over, but at the 11th hour this week they finally decided to stay open. So I'll be able to get all my stuff next week.
Okay. BJ got it, right?
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
read it
that's
yet?
yeah. I read it earlier today.
Did you like it?
Kind of, yeah, I kind of like how there was like the last picture page of it. There's like, all right, we're locked and loaded, let's go, kind of thing.
I
Did you read it yet?
I haven't read it yet. No, I picked it up solely for the art. It's Nick Spencer's the writer, and I kind of like his writing. He takes chances with his writing,
Yes.
but it has a ton of Marvel characters in it, and it's Mephisto is I believe just flipping through it. I think Mephisto's the main villain. But like just from the cover, it's got like Blade, Moon Knight, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider. I flipped through it. Captain Marvel's in it, so it's got a ton of like Marvel characters. So I mean that's why I picked it up. Plus I like Doctor Strange. I'm kind of on a Doctor Strange kick. But I got that one, and then are any reading Tales of Suspense? It's freaking awesome.
Yep, I'm reading that one. You
Yeah.
do know it's a limited series, right? There's only going to have 5 issues of that.
Yeah, and that sucks because I
It
love
does.
it. Hopefully they continue on Tales of Suspense and just have 2 new characters per story arc. But like this, the Hawk Winter Soldier, it's just I really like it. So I don't know if they'll continue it on, but I hope they do. I added it to my pull list, so hopefully they do.
That's Marvel. They'll do a #1 next week. Redo it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they will with Tales of Suspense. We haven't had that book since the 70s.
67, I think the last was issue 99.
Yeah, and I think that's it's like the Marvel 2-in-1 that came out this year, Fantastic Four. We haven't
Right.
had one of those since like 74.
Yeah,
I mean, I wish they would keep bringing those kind of books like Strange Tales, Tales to Astonish out, those kind of books where they had these series and stories in them, because I love the Marvel Premiere, bring a Marvel Premiere back out.
yeah. It's nostalgic. I like it.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think they could do some really cool things like with those too, because like if you have these like kind of really cool team ups, I mean, you could do something that doesn't maybe fit, like say, in a main character's book, but you could have this little 6 mini issue series that you could throw under Tales of Suspense or whatever you want to throw it under, and just let creators go kind of crazy with these characters. Doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily be continuity or anything like that, but just let creators have fun, and I think that's what Marvel is really missing at this point. Is
it's
they're
fun.
just they're so worried about their events. They're not willing to let creators create.
Yeah.
Well, the
Well,
last time they did it well was Marvel Comics Presents in the 90s.
they don't want to get too far, of course, because they don't want it to deviate from like the plan of the movies. Because I still think that the movies are now running Marvel, so
That's
they're
what I was saying.
trying to like, straight and narrow, and they don't want to like get too far off course.
Yep.
They have to bring it back in, like the whole Captain America thing. They made him evil for what was that called? Secret Empire. Is that what it was? And I kind of liked where they were going with it, making Captain America the villain, but they brought it back in because they didn't want to get too far off course.
Yeah.
They got to keep that team kind of straight and narrow and kind of mesh the movies, which I wish they didn't do that. I like how DC kind of keeps them as separate entities, but I don't know. I mean, you could see like the bleed through from the movies, the television shows into the comics. Just people like adopting like the same costumes and stuff and the same mannerisms. Like I read some of these comics now in the voices of the actors because they write them to kind of mimic actors. Like if you read Iron Man,
Totally.
I can't read Iron Man without reading in Robert Downey Jr.'s voice.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I mean, even look at the art. I mean, he looks like Robert Downey Jr. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I fully agree. I mean, I know Nate's really excited for it, but Adam Warlock, I mean, honestly, I feel like the only reason they're bringing that comic back out is because of that extra credit scene at the end of Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think you're right. The movies dictate everything Marvel does. And because like we were talking earlier about this legacy, renumbering everything back to the original numbers and all that. And then here we are, not even 3 months later, and they're going right back to renumbering everything back to #1. And it blows my mind because it's just like, wait a minute, you have all this momentum going, you're doing something really cool, legacy, and then you completely dismantle that, like the Tales of Suspense and all this stuff. Get rid of everything everybody liked that you were doing.
Yeah.
All to fit that mold again.
Right.
And it's really frustrating.
Well, that's why a lot of people are reading Image and DC now versus Marvel for that reason.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
DC's still killing. I love what DC's doing.
But see, but DC, and I think you're right. They don't let the movies dictate, but they also, I feel like they went in with a plan with Rebirth. They knew they had some really kind of messed up things with New 52, and they made a long, a very long game plan to fix everything with Rebirth, and it wasn't something they tried to do in a day. Where I feel like that's what Marvel tries to do. Is they try to fix it instantly. When it doesn't work, they just try something else.
Yeah.
But there is one problem I have with Rebirth, and that's the Doomsday Clock. So I love the series, don't get me wrong, it's a great read, but it's a cop-out for DC to be able to bring the Watchmen into the DC universe. Dr. Manhattan caused everything. They could have went a lot further with that story than just Dr. Manhattan caused Rebirth.
Well, they're basically making him a god.
Right.
If not the god, I don't know, in the DC universe. But I mean, are you liking Doomsday Clock?
Oh, I do. I mean, it's a good story. I love Watchmen. I mean, I'm a huge Alan Moore fan, so I was kind of interested to see how they're going to do the actual Watchmen in the DC universe. And I hate to say it, it actually reads better in the DC universe now than it did back in the '80s. Just for that reason, because you've got some streamlined writers and artists in there, so it reads a lot better. Because Alan Moore was long-winded, just like Neil Adams is when he writes a story. So it's like, okay, you got to keep going and going. You can get lost in the verbiage really fast. And that's why I like the Metals, the way they've been doing Metals recently, because it's a fast-paced story, but there's good writing with it as well. So you understand there's an actual story. It isn't just a bunch of art, Because that's the problem I have with a lot of comics today, is that it's a lot of art, there's no story behind it. And I've heard both sides of the fence, let the art tell the story as well. And sometimes it does, but I get comics to read comics, not just to look at the pictures,
Yeah. I'm liking White Knight a lot.
Oh, White Knight's a good one. I bought the first 3 or 4 issues of that. I haven't read them though. Is it pretty good?
Oh, yeah.
I think White Knight is the best Batman story that they've done in the last 10 years.
Wow.
I would put it up against Long Halloween. That's just my personal opinion.
Woo. I say it a lot, man. I love the Long Halloween.
I do too.
Yeah.
I definitely have to start reading that then.
Definitely read that.
So going back, I had a question for you guys about Image. So if they were going to take any current Image book and turn it into either like a Netflix show or a television show or a movie, a feature film, which comic would you want them to turn into a property?
I got 5.
I'm pretty sure you asked one.
Let's see Nate's top 5.
So top 5, it's going to be Curse Words. It's going to be Saga. It's going to be Reborn. It's going to be Redneck. I still want to see a series made out of Redneck. And then probably Baby Teeth.
That's not Image, technically.
It's a sub-print of Image.
Is Aftershock Image?
No.
Yes.
I don't think so.
They are a sub-print to Image.
Okay.
I thought they were sub-print to DC.
No.
I was thinking they were like Dark Horse or somebody, but I could be wrong.
What else?
I mean, I would look.
BJ, what do you think?
I would love Saga, but I don't want to ruin it. The first thing in my mind would be like Jupiter's Legacy, Jupiter's Circle. it just feels like it could be a really good movie if if it's
Mhm.
done right. And Mark Millar's already done some really good movies. And
Yeah.
since Millar World is with Netflix, I think that's a good way to start it off too.
Oh yeah.
Kyle, how about you?
My number one is actually already being made for sci-fi, and that's Deadly Class.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did
Yep.
they announce like creative for that, like director and stuff?
What's that?
Did they announce like who's directing it and who's starring in it?
The stars are a bunch of like it's 4 or 5 kids that no one's ever heard of, which I thought was really cool. I don't remember who exactly is directing it. I know Rick Remender, the writer, and Wes Craig, the artist, are both the showrunners and producers on it. They've already done one pilot that Remender actually came out and said that he was blown away by how it came out. And he's someone that I don't think, if he really didn't like something, I don't think he would just kind of sugarcoat and say, it is what it is, and try to make it sound good. I think he would actually come out and say, this isn't done right. We need to redo something. So I have super high hopes with it. And honestly, like with how far sci-fi pushed, I don't know if you guys are watching Happy, but that based on the Grant Morrison book, with how far they pushed that show with the violence and some of the adult material from that comic, I think sci-fi is the perfect home for Deadly Class.
I would want to see Southern Bastards.
Yes.
They could probably do Southern Bastards in a movie. I would like to see something in a series, like a Netflix series. They'd have to have a big budget for that. I mean, because obviously it's outer space and a lot of really cool looking creatures and stuff. So they'd have to have a big budget to do, maybe a 10 to 13 episode series for that. I don't think they could pull off Saga in like one movie. I mean, it'd be crazy too much down everyone's throats in 2.5 hours. But I think Southern Bastards could probably be done in a movie with like maybe subsequent like a trilogy or something. But yeah, those are the two that I like the most that I would love to see in like some kind of form other than comic book form.
Yeah.
Well, Redneck's the same way. You could do that in an easy 2-hour movie. I mean, it's the same thing every issue pretty much. Oh, let's go find the cannibals. All right, cannibals going to eat something. Okay, cannibals ate the thing. Next issue.
Yeah, I agree with you, Cincy. I think Southern Bastards would work. I would like to see it as a series just to get like a good character development of every single character in it. But yeah, I think as a movie that would work really well. And from when I talked to Jason Aaron and Jason Latour at C2E2 last year, there is something in the works. They just can't say what yet.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I guess they have because I don't know if you have the trades or if you have the single issues, but that book has Unreal support. I forget his name. He plays for the Carolina Panthers. He went to somewhere in Cincinnati. I want to say Luke Kuechly.
Oh,
I get it.
Yeah.
No, it's
Southern Bastards.
What's that?
Ryan Khalil.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a couple Panthers players that love the book that actually have done like forewords and have really tried to get that book out there throughout the NFL community and showing kind of the mindset of Southern high school football. I'm not even a big football guy, but man, that's one of the best crime stories I have read in quite some time.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys ever read? Did you guys ever read Nail Biter?
Yes. We're gonna get along.
That's like one of my favorite like horror books I've ever read, and that would be an awesome series or movie. I think.
Yep.
I gotta write this down.
Nail Biter is really good. Manifest Destiny is a really awesome concept, but that would have to be a big budget too, because of all the monsters and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of Image books that like have ended that I would love to see them kind of continue on in like television or movie form, but it's just a waiting game at this point. The success of Walking Dead has really helped Image like get their foot in the door with like TV and movies.
Yep. Well, and not only that, but you have Kirkman's Outcast on Showtime that's doing really well.
Oh yeah.
Oh
And then
yeah.
you also, and then I don't know, is Seth Rogen at the helm of it? I don't know how well it's going to do, but they're also working on an Invincible show as well.
Wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I think that's going to do well based upon how Preachers did with Seth Rogen in it. You know.
Yeah, but I just don't know. I'm curious to see because I don't know if it's AMC. I forget where it's going or if it's FX. But it's not going on a prime time now. But I mean, Preacher was really violent because I think that's one thing that Invincible has to have is kind of over the top violence. So I'd be curious to see if a network show can really, showing a guy getting his jaw punched clean off and
getting ripped in half. Yeah,
right.
They could work on that. They've got Legion out there right now. That one's pretty out there.
Okay.
Which one?
Legion.
Huh. Is that on FX, you said?
Yep.
FX or FXX, one of those two.
Okay.
Season 2 should be starting up pretty soon now.
Yeah, that was actually I was kind of shocked the way they did the series on Legion because, I love the character Legion from the New Mutants and X-Men, This is completely different from that,
Yeah.
They kind of threw that wayside, They made their own story with it, which made it actually more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that Legion. Okay, I was thinking of a different Legion. For some reason, I'm thinking of Legion of superheroes, but I was like, oh, Legion, like Xavier's Legion. I tried to watch that, but I was way too confused. I kind of felt dumb watching it because I couldn't understand the concepts. I'm like, is this real or not? Like, what is actually real right now?
What's going on?
I mean, are you supposed to know? Okay, this is real life. This is just a head. What the hell's going on? I mean, I was so confused.
Well, think about it. I mean, he's a schizophrenic in the comic. So that's how this whole series is based upon is what's going on in his head.
Yeah.
So you got to define what is real first.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's I couldn't figure it out.
I feel like if they ever did Moon Knight as a Netflix series, I think it would be very similar.
Yeah.
To where you're trying to figure out what's real, what's not. Especially if they did the Jeff Lemire run that just ended.
So good.
Oh, it was.
Who's the artist on that?
Two
artists. And they were both awesome.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up that issue. I have the issues over here.
Well, and if they do it, they got to do the Mark Spector Moon Knight, not the other one.
Cincy, I did grab this one because I saw you on your video about this one. I was like, I'll give it a try.
I haven't read it yet, but I heard it's great.
I didn't know it was 80 pages and $8. It's like, dang.
That's not bad. $1 for 10 pages.
Yeah. My buddy Chad did announce his new book. He's going to be doing a novel with IDW for just a straight solo Bumblebee.
Oh, wow. Very nice. I saw him. I went to Comics to Games and I saw his name on a book. Was it Youngblood?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty good storyline.
And
he's bringing he's got the Darkhawk miniseries coming out with that goes along with the Infinity Countdown.
Oh, very cool. Who's doing the art on that one?
I'm not too sure. Somebody new, I believe. Should be on CBR.
I've always liked Darkhawk as a character.
What's that?
I've always liked Darkhawk as a character.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the chat.
That's one of the first issues I started when I started collecting again back in the 90s. That and Sleepwalker. You remember that one?
Sleepwalker.
Oh, God.
Hey, have you guys heard? Didn't Brian Michael Bendis sign an exclusive deal with DC?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Did they announce what books he's going to be writing?
Actually, comics.
Okay.
Oh, just action, just one title?
That's it so far.
He's probably going to start with like issue 1000, right? I would assume.
Yeah, he starts with. He does 1,000. I think he's going to do it for like a year, but I think he's going to be on a trial run with Action Comics to see how he does.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So they'll definitely get artists since it's Bendis. That's
They
going
need
to
to
be
bring Gary Frank back.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What's he doing now? Is he drawing anything?
I haven't seen him in a while draw anything.
He's an amazing artist. I love his stuff.
Because right now, isn't it Clay Mann on Action?
Yep.
Do I have it down here? Let me go check.
Because I know he's kind of DC's like kind of superstar right now.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how how Bendis does Superman. 'Cause to me, I mean, that's going to be a different type of Superman that we've had in a long time.
Could be.
I can see it being more of the Dan Jurgens kind of style, from the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Because Bendis has that kind of writing style. But it might have that Marvel Knights feel with it.
Right.
Jurgens is writing it now. Are you reading it?
Yeah.
I'm not caught up. I know I haven't read any of the Booster Gold arc.
Yeah, I read The Oz Effect, and that kind of sucked me back in.
Cool.
This is my pile of books that I have to add to my read pile. And this is just DC. My read pile is a short box, so I have to like file these in there, and then that's my read pile. So I need to catch up, is what I'm trying to say.
You're about as bad as I am, Cincy. I get that same amount of pile every week.
Yeah. This is 1 week from one store. I go to 2 stores. I think I buy too many titles.
Hey, at least you're not reading Secret Empire and have to have 30 issues for one book.
Yeah.
True.
I think I'm reading X-Men books, though, for sure.
Yeah, that's the reason I ended up dropping most of my Marvel and DC stuff. Is just all those crossovers and having to pick up 18 books just to get one storyline.
Yeah.
And then I was the same way. I was getting so far behind on my single issues. That was part of the reason why I switched over to trade only.
I need to do that because single issues is killing me.
Yeah.
I will say, though, Marvel books, this is a good book. Old Man Hawkeye. If anyone's reading this, really, it's really cool. It's a prequel to Old Man Logan, the first Old Man Logan.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I actually like the writing style on that. It has that Old Man Logan feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Is McNevin's not on art on that, is he?
No, but the art is really. It's who the heck is it? Cicchetto. I think his name is Mario Cicchetto.
Okay.
Bless you.
Someone say bless you.
All right, since I talked to Ryan Jones, one of the moderators. He lives in just outside of Charlotte. He's going to be at Heroes Con. Kyle, still up in the air.
Dude, yeah, you have no idea. Like I'm already in for 2 commissions. I bought an original page. I have like 3 feelers out to art reps. Say to each other, my wife's going to kill me. There's not a chance I'm making it down to Heroes this year.
What page did you buy?
Curse Words, page 4 from issue 1.
Oh, I think you sent me that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I think
awesome.
And then I was telling them I got on Mark Laming's commission list, so he's doing a Daredevil, Spider-Man versus Mysterio for me.
Holy crap!
And then I still have a feeler out for Klaus Jensen to see if he's going to do anything pre-show. Ryan Stegman, I'm trying to get in touch with his art rep. And then Daniel Warren Johnson, they said that if he does pre-show commissions, I can get on the list. Just a matter if he's going to have time to do them or not.
Have you ever looked at Ryan Stegman's portfolio at a show, like of his original art?
I have not. I've not been able to meet him yet. So this is the first time I'm even going to be able to get anything signed. So if I'm not able to get a commission, I'm hoping I can at least pick something up.
Yeah, I've been at his table at 2 different shows, and literally I was worried that I was going to drool on his artwork. It's amazing. It's so detailed. So yeah, Stegman's going to be there. Make some time to just look through his portfolio of original art. You'll probably buy a page. It's beautiful.
I was looking on because he does was it Cadence is his art rep.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking at some of the pages from some of his Amazing Spider-Man books, and it's just like, oh my gosh! And they're really reasonable. I mean, it's original art, so it's going to be expensive, but like a pretty decent page with a ton, like with Spider-Man in an actual like action pose, was only running $400 or $500. Which I couldn't believe for Stegman.
I think his stuff out of any other artist reminds me more of Todd McFarlane than anyone.
Yes. I agree. Him or Humberto Romero, I think both of those really have that stylized, very flexible. Just have that McFarlane style to them.
Yeah,
and actually, Humberto is going to be a C2E2 as well.
Oh, he is.
Oh.
He is. Dude, it's ridiculous. Like because originally the guest list was just okay. There's some really big names I wanted to see, like Klaus Jensen. But they, like, what was it, last week, I think it was, they released the final list, and it was just, I'm, like, sitting there just going through, I'm like, I gotta get something from him. I just looked at the wife, and I was like, the budget we talked about? Yeah, it's probably gonna be double that.
Yeah. One of my favorite artists of the 80s, of the late 80s, is going to be, I think it's Cincinnati Comic Expo, Rick Leonardi.
Yes, I saw it. They announced it today.
Yeah. I used to love his art. So, looking forward to that.
Got Jim Starlin going to the Raleigh SuperCon coming up in July.
Nice.
I'm going to try to grab my Infinity Gauntlet issue number 1 and let him sign that one. I think Kevin Eastman is going to be there too.
That'd be cool. Get Turtle sketch.
Hell yeah.
Oh, Kevin Eastman? Is that what you said? That's awesome.
Yeah, Cincy, the other big guest supposedly that they have in contract that they haven't announced yet is Frank Miller for the Cincy Expo.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
We get ready to spend about $3,000 for a signature then.
And, he was at C2E2 last year when I went, and I looked at some of his prices, and yeah, I think like the cheapest package to meet him was like $300 or $400.
Jeez. Did that include like a head sketch or something?
No, the one that included a sketch, and you could only get Batman, which sucked because Miller's Daredevil's the Miller. You could only get Batman, and that was I think $1,200.
Oh, jeez. And they're probably all pre-drawn.
And honestly, like, I've seen some examples of like what you get for that, and I kid you not, it's like maybe 8 lines. It's like not a whole like. It literally looks like. I mean, it's still got Frank Miller's style because he is who he is, but it's basically just like a outline of a silhouette. That's it.
Yeah. So it's like a happy face with a square jaw.
Pretty much. and just like the little cow line.
That's crazy. Hey, more power to him. If he can get it, then get it.
Yeah, That's the thing. I mean, that's the thing about like kind of art collecting right now is I mean, and wrong. I love supporting artists. I mean that's their livelihood. That's the way they make money. So I have absolutely nothing against them charging what they're charging. But some of these creators are. I mean, it is getting a bit hard to stay in the art game as well as figures and everything else that comes out.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that there's always like new up and coming artists, and they're always fantastic. So, like, I like to try and like discover like the next big artist and get an original piece from them while their art's still cheap, and hope that they're going to just like make it huge. And then the price is going to skyrocket. So it's like buying a stock at a penny stock or something. Is a good analogy, but
well, you saw that Seven to Eternity piece I sent to you guys. I think
Beautiful.
Gavin will be blowing up very soon. But then probably the biggest thing I've gotten something like that. I met Jason Fabik. This was 2 years ago now. I met him before. I mean, he has still done like covers on Detective and Batman and stuff, but he wasn't what he is now. And I got a headshot from him for only $100.
Wow.
And now he's charging $500, $600, $700 for a headshot.
I'm going to show you what I got. So there's an artist named Jeff Dekal, Dekal, and I noticed his artwork and stuff, and I thought it was great. So I bought some. He does watercolor paint. He did watercolor paintings. I don't think he does them anymore because he does regular covers for Marvel. So he's made it pretty big. But like I got this. This is Magic Liliana. This is a watercolor painting.
That is absolutely gorgeous.
That I got. And then he also did this one. I got to get these framed. They're just sitting in my portfolio here. But another watercolor painting. Before the Suicide Squad movie came out, he drew this Harley Quinn. So
unbelievable.
And his prices have really gone up since he started doing a lot of covers for Marvel. So I'm glad I got these for relatively cheap prices for a watercolor original painting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially for full color and everything. Yep.
Yeah. So that's my goal for C2E2 is to try and find like the up and coming artist, the new guy that's there, and to try and get a cool piece from that person.
Oh, I'm going to a convention in in Augusta, about in March, I think. It's Joe Fest. It's basically like a toy collecting for GI Joe, and they're actually making the Joe figure size for Billy.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and they asked Chad to do like one of his little file for it too. I'm going down there with him. So there's two variants. So does anybody want one?
That's awesome.
Okay. Hey. Yeah. Okay. Kyle, you want one too?
Sure. My dog apparently really wants one. He's pulling me in the arm. So.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to grab as many as I can and send them out to you guys. The first thing I thought was like, yeah, these guys should get some. So
is that Joe Fest or Joe Con? Because there's a couple GI Joe conventions.
It's Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia. It's the first annual. So I'm not sure how big it's going to be, but before they asked Chad to be there as one of the guests, we were going to go anyways. And then the guy came up to Columbia. Chad had a signing in one of our local comic stores, and they're like, "You want to come down?" And then they asked him to do the little file that you get off the the card back too.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. I read it. It was pretty cool. So they got two variants of Billy. I can't remember what colors they are. I'll try to get a picture of it and put it in the messages there, or you can go to the Facebook group for Joe Fest, and they got it on there.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know JoeCon and BotCon got canceled last year after the last one. That's why we have HasCon now.
Okay.
There is a BotCon this year in Chicago, though. Yeah, I think in September or October.
Yeah, that's TFCon.
TFCon, yeah. BotCon did get canceled. I think I went to
Yep.
one last.
The last one I went to was the one in Canada. BotCon was amazing because it was done by FunPub Publications. They used to come out with their sets every year, their special edition sets, and I still have them all still. But now it's all HasCon, and we all saw how HasCon went this year.
Yeah. The good news about HasCon is if you miss out on the exclusive, it's going to get a regular release. They don't want to waste those molds.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's like I got the HasCon, Deadpool and the Rex, and then of course they come out with a retail version. The only difference is you get 2 more guns with Rex, and I think 2 more guns with Deadpool in the new wave
You
for
also
Sasquatch.
Facebook the Rex. The Rex has that digital face painting. I think it looks better. The HasCon one.
Well, damn.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that new Ray, and that new Ray with the digital face paint looks 1,000 times better.
Oh yeah.
Are they charging more for those?
No, they're still
No.
20 right now.
Okay.
Just give it time, though.
Right.
Well,
It'll be 25 before you know.
Yep.
well, look at Multiverse. Multiverse is starting to go up a little bit. They're starting to creep it in price. They're giving them more articulation. So watch Legends and them to be $25 pretty soon.
Yep.
So, Cincy, I know you got 2 new Hot Toys today. I saw your picture. And I know Kyle's chomping at the bit, too, because he got one of them. I'd like to see what you guys' thoughts are on between the two of you.
Cincy, you can go ahead if you want. Good grab.
Where'd everybody go?
I think we lost Cincy.
He's frozen in time.
He is.
That looks good, man.
It does. Yeah, like my impressions of this one, I have the tech suit coming. I don't know what happened. I guess Sideshow got their orders in I guess they didn't get all their orders at one time, so they're still waiting on them. So mine, I guess, is in the second half of the batch, which kind of sucks. I really wanted that one too. But yeah, the homemade suit, I think, is the issue with Hot Toys with spandex suits, like Spider-Man, like Deadpool, a lot of Batman, is they warp very easily. So if you leave them in a dynamic pose, much like this, you're going to get a lot of creases and even tearing in the joints and things like that. But this one being just a sweatsuit, there's absolutely no issue with that. So you can actually get him in very Spider-Man-esque poses, which is fantastic for Hot Toys. So I am honestly over the moon with this homemade suit one. It comes with a ton of accessories. The only maybe the only downside to it is, and the Tom Holland sculpt is amazing. Probably the only downside to this one is it is just a sweatsuit, so there's not a whole lot of detail, actually in the suit itself. That would maybe be the only thing that someone may not like about it. But that's how the design was in the movie. So it's film accurate. It's just not as cool or ornate as what you see in the tech suit with all the different textures and everything throughout it. But no, I am absolutely in love with this Spider-Man. I honestly pose him in a different pose almost every other day. This has been a week with this upside down pose just because I like it so much. But Yeah.
So, price point wise, was there a huge price point difference between the homemade and the tech suit?
I think the homemade was 220. The tech suit, I want to say, was like 230. Now, I bought the deluxe edition of the tech suit. It came with the school jacket, a hoodie, a backpack, and I think headphones were part of that. So that was 250. So it added just a little bit to it. But no, I don't think there was like maybe a $10 price difference between the two, with the tech suit being more expensive. But no, there really wasn't a big price difference between the two. I don't believe.
It just seems a little ironic that for $10 more you get what you get with the deluxe, version of the tech suit versus the homemade suit. You would
Right.
think that based upon that if it's 250 for the deluxe one, then the other one should have been about 215, 220.
Right.
There should be something there. Hey,
Yeah.
oh, so since he just messaged us, he said his phone died in the comments down below. Cincy, dude, thank you for coming, brother. I appreciate you at
Yes,
least
sir.
being here with us for a while. And Steven said, yeah, he picked up the whole multiverse way with Clayface today. That's awesome. Because if you guys haven't seen the new multiverse ones that come out, they came a long way than they used to. It's just funny because we had the standard multiverse, which wasn't really that good. Then they had that little 2-pack with Psycho Man, which looked so bad. And then you get this brand new multiverse ones that came out in the blue packaging, which look amazing now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting to see how they do it. Thanks for coming by, Senses. Come every week. We're here every week.
I got to see if it's a full moon out there or not.
Well, my throat's about gone, guys. That's why I haven't talked a lot lately.
Not a problem.
This damn cold's kicking my butt. But I hope everybody had a good time tonight. Thank you, Brian, BJ, Kyle, and Sensei for coming by.
Yes.
It's been a blast. Thank you, everybody that's on the stream. Come on back. See us again next week.
Yep.
Much appreciated everybody coming in saying what's up.
Yep. Because we all have a good time here. And that's what this is all about. It's having a fun time. Talk comics, talk movies, talk whatever we can think of. So thank you, guys. With that being said, that's all I got. BJ, Kyle, you guys got anything else tonight?
No, I think that's it.
Now, if there's anything you guys are looking for while I'm at this convention, just shoot me a message.
Cool.
Okay. Definitely.
All right.
All right. Well, you guys take it easy now.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See ya.